And we are live. Hello. Welcome to the Sisterhood of Mummy Imperfect. I'm Rina Deeptianabil, aka Mummy Imperfect. And if you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where you get your weekly dose of filter-free girl chat. So this is probably the last podcast of the year. Well, the last one where I'm going to be talking actual sense to guests, right? I might squeeze out another one just for fun, but it's episode 147. It's the 49th episode of the year. And I have to say that one of the best byproducts of doing the podcast is actually just connecting with so many different, strong, and amazing women. And today I'm talking to two of those women that I've had the pleasure of getting to know through this podcast. And they're both really open and honest about sharing their life experiences and just very much bring the realness to the podcast and to social media. And so I've invited them both back to have a chat about how 2022 turned out, expectations versus reality, goals for next year, things that we are choosing to leave behind in 2022. So let me just introduce my guest. It is Fitness Coach Ush, aka Push with Ush, and one half of the Native Immigrants podcast is Joyti. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
You okay? I'm just checking that we're actually recording. We are, which is always good.
It's always a good start.
Yeah.
So, are you? How are you feeling at the end of 2022?
Wow, where to start? Drained would be a word for
Really?
me. 100%. I didn't think I would end up at the end of the year drained, but I thought I'd be energized by the end of the year. It's been a tough one, if I'm honest.
Has it turned out totally different then to what you expected?
Yeah, I would say 100% different to what I'd
Mm.
expected. I think I expected, I had a rough year the year before as well. So like in my mind, I was ready to kind of kickstart 2022, really hit my fitness goals, really, get on top of my business and, like settle down with this person that I was dating. Joyti knows all about him. I think Rena, you know about him as well. Settle down and just kind of move forward. But what I ended up doing was staying put. I put on 12 kilos, which has been hard mentally as well as physically because it was something I couldn't control because of how ill I got. And it's like I've got constant brain fog, and I don't know if that's me getting older and heading towards that menopause. Like I went from 39 to 42 without even realizing in the whole pandemic. Like I lost 3 years, and now I'm like certain I'm or definitely pre-menopause, going towards that perimenopause.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been a little bit crazy, and I feel like I'm just a bit tired, and I'm ready to just rest over Christmas. I'm honest with you.
That's a roller coaster. Joyti, what about you? Have you frozen? Are you there?
I
Is
think
Joyti there?
frozen.
Oh no. I don't know what's happened to her connection. I hope she'll come back. I'm obviously recording this podcast, but it's also I'm doing a live as well, so anything can happen. But either way, however you tuned in, thank you, and you can of course leave comments as part of this as well. Hi, Joyti, you've unfrozen now.
Hi.
So
sorry, my laptop died.
Oh, okay. How are you feeling at the end of this year?
I think the same. I think I feel very tired, drained. It's been a year of ups and downs. 2021 kind of was a really tough year for me, and so I went into 2022 with no expectations. Just I had no energy for expectations at that point. Like I was at a kind of a very low point by the end of 2021. So I just thought 2022, whatever it is, just bring it. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. And 2022 brought it in lots of good ways and in some bad ways as well. But like it was weird because the stuff that's happened to me in previous years has kind of happened to me, whereas the stuff that happened in 2022 was happening to people around me, and it was the weird kind of, I struggle with anxiety anyway, and then having this lack of control, being able to help the people that I care about was really hard. It was a different struggle for me this year in that sense. And then kind of my life switched as well, because I've been a mum and just been at home for the past 3 years, unintentionally. It was only meant to be for a year, and then COVID happened, and then kind of just got stuck at home for another 2 years. And I went back to work, and so then there's that whole, struggle of like figuring out how to be a real person again, not just mum, but being Joyti again, and being in an environment with people where I have to use my brain and all that kind of stuff, and then also balancing that with life at home and things. It's been hard. It's been hard. Like I started that in July, so the past 5 months have been tough in that sense, but in a good way. I think that's a good struggle. Whereas the earlier half of the year was a bit of a kind of a tough one.
Is that like you felt like you've grown from that, from the challenge of like going back to work and all this and balancing it all?
Yeah, like now I do. I think like if you'd asked me that maybe like 2-3 months ago, I was ready to quit. I was like, I can't do this. This is not. I don't understand how other mums do it. I don't understand how other women, other parents in general, like I just don't know how they do it. Not just mums, but just parents. Like I don't get it, because it's so hard, and the expectation is so high from all sides, and there's very little understanding, I think, a lot of the time as well when it comes to this kind of stuff at work. And then, sometimes from family as well, like it's really difficult. And obviously your child is not really going to understand, because they just want their parent. But yeah, I kind of have learned to not worry about it that much. I try not to kind of feel the guilt, because my anxiety stems from guilt, and I cannot feed that even more with new stuff. Like I can't just keep feeding my anxiety all the time, because then the monster just exists constantly and it's just there, and I want that monster to be gone, so I have to try and switch my way of thinking.
And mom guilt is a very big thing, like the whole mom guilt, working and things like that, and that it's difficult.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's
difficult.
I've had mum guilt since I was pregnant. I spoke to you, previously about my hyperemesis and stuff that I went through when I was pregnant. So I've just had mum guilt since then, and it's just carried on through. And going back to work is a whole other level of that. But I try not to, and plus because I work flexibly, that has made a massive difference. I think if I was in the office 5 days a week, I don't think I'd be standing now. I think I would have quit very quickly. But because I can work from home, and I get my time with my son, and I get my time just at home, just to kind of, not having to do that commute and just be in my own environment, I think I've got the right balance in terms of going into the office and being at home. And it allows me to kind of be Joyti, the professional, and then be mummy Joyti as well. I think that really helps. But it's hard, and I think it will probably carry on being hard for a little while, and probably for the rest of my life while I'm working, and he still needs me.
Yes, my eldest child is 13, and I can say it will.
Thanks.
It's all right. You're in it for the long game of mom guilt.
Yeah.
Welcome. That is hard though, to be that support person though, if other people are going through stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
so
do you guys do that? Do you take like, this anxiety that we feel like when other people are going through things that are close to you? Do you take it on and then end up feeling worse as well?
Absolutely. 100%, I would say. Yeah, I think recently I've been doing a lot of inner work, and one of the things I've done is I've done this quiz, and it turns out that my top archetype is a nurturer. So if anything is happening with anyone else, I will take it on board and I will try and help, heal, nurture. But what I forget to do in the process is nurture the nurturer. So this is something that I'm definitely having to work on, whether that's, just cleansing my space or my aura, whatever it is, and, doing the training, doing the meditation or the yoga. But yeah, like nurturing the nurturer is something I've learned this year. It's something I've been really bad at. And I think this is one of the reasons I burnt out in 2021 so badly, and so literally went downhill like that, because I didn't nurture myself, but I was nurturing a lot of people through my program, plus, my family and what they were going through, and having to look after my parents, where, in my bubble, they were my bubble. My sisters were, out of other parts of the country. And so it was me doing majority of that nurturing and holding space for people, and completely forgot about myself. So yeah, completely.
Are you the eldest girl?
Yes, I'm the eldest kid.
Eldest. Yeah. So, okay. So is it 2 sisters? So are there 3
yeah,
of you?
3 of
Same.
us, yeah.
Yeah, the same. I'm
Yeah.
the eldest of 3 sisters as well. I feel like 2021 was worse. Like I know, okay, 2020, yes, that's when COVID and everything started, but 2021, I think that's when like it was all the craziness of 2020 just built up and became worse for 2021.
Yeah.
I struggled.
I
I
would
really
Yeah.
say
struggled.
you're right, but I would say 2022 was the aftermath of that. So 2022, I find, is a year that maybe 21 was worse because of certain things that happened, illnesses, etc. But 21 was the aftermath and trying to recover from 21 on my end anyway.
No, I think 100% it was that. I think like 2020 felt like, oh, we're at home and it's all cozy, and my husband was working from home, and my little one was like, he was like 18 months. He was like at a super cute age, and it was just lovely. And then 2021 hit, and that's when COVID started really hitting people to me very closely. I lost an uncle, I lost my best friend, and then like it just was like, how do grieving then in 2021 was really hard because you were kind of cut off from everybody. Like I had therapy, but it was via Zoom, so it was really weird and kind of didn't really make sense to me because I needed some contact with somebody outside of my space. And then it was just kind of like I tried to work from home, and I tried to go back to work on a contract role to see how it would be. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try work flexibly. I'm going to do 4 days a week, but I'm going to do all my hours in those 4 days. I was working 10-hour days with a child at home. And I got to about 6 or 7 months in, and I burnt out. Like I rang the doctor because I felt really scared about how I was feeling at that point. Like I had chest pains. I couldn't I didn't know if I was coming or going. I could not think a rational thought. It was really scary. So then by the time 2022 came, I was like, I'm just tired. I was kind of past the burnout bit. Like I had got past the worst of the burnout bit, had done some resting and stuff by kind of December 2021, was feeling a little bit more of a person again. 2022 was just like, let's just see what it brings. And then but I do feel that tiredness, that kind of the feeling of recovery and having to do the work to do that recovery. And then when it comes to nurturing other people, my husband, bless him, he has taken on so much of the parenting role while I've been going through my issues in terms of my mental health and my physical health as well. And he burnt out. And his work got really, really stressful. We were getting our kitchen done, and he was dealing with me and how I was feeling. And he got signed off with anxiety and had to deal with that for like 3-4 months, was kind of in a really bad way.
Mm.
That was in the first half of the year. And so then that's where I was saying where the roles switched, and I had to try and kind of care for him. But then I was also going through my own things. I wasn't caring for him in the right way. And he actually said to me recently, he was like, you were the wrong person to be there for me. And not in a bad way, not in a kind of like, you're a terrible wife kind of way. But he was like, you were going through your issues and then trying to help me through my issues, but projecting onto me and not really not being the emotional support. I was trying to fix everything because that's what I do when I get anxious. I try and like organize and fix and get things done, and then get nothing done because overwhelm happens. But with him, it was just too much. He needed someone to just kind of hold him basically and tell him it was going to be okay. And here I was going, no, you need to do this, this, and this. So you've got two people who are suffering from anxiety at different stages of it as well, like at the same time. It was a really kind of tough time in the first half of the year.
Yeah, because you guys have been like, well, open to it a little bit about this because obviously you had a podcast and you have a podcast, but then this year, have you done any this year?
No,
Or so it's
we
been
just
quite
couldn't
tough,
do it. We
hasn't it?
just didn't have the headspace, or
Yeah.
and we just had to give ourselves time to breathe. And in 2021, we were doing them pretty much every week, and it just got really overwhelming. And it was a lot because my husband does all the editing and everything, and so it just got too much for him with that, plus work, plus having to take on so much of the parenting role. So, but I feel like we're in a better space now. Like we're both. It really has made a difference for me to get out of the house and be working in an office environment and doing that. And I kind of took the plunge in July after doing a little tester with a former manager of mine who needed some help just for a week or so, and I realized that I actually really enjoy it. So that's why I went back to work, and I think that's made a massive difference to my anxiety. So although I get kind of anxious about like mum guilt and, oh no, he's sick again this week, because that's what happens every other week at nursery, they get ill, and so you have to try and manage work while looking after a poorly child. But I feel like I'm kind of, it's easier to cope with because I have my escape. I get to go into town a couple of days a week, and sit in a space where I don't have to think about, oh, the laundry needs doing. While I'm also writing a report, I can just be in the space to actually be professional Joyti, where I can just kind of work and focus, and then also have a laugh, because you just kind of have random chats with people in the office, which is always nice as well. So this year it's been one of recovery, but also one of just new beginnings and kind of trying to start a new way of life, which I hope will carry on into 2023. But again, like I've learned now not to have any expectations, not to kind of expect anything from a year, because you just don't know what's going to come your way, and you just got to take each day as it comes, I think.
So do you guys do like, goal setting and resolutions and that kind of thing?
No, I don't do resolutions for sure. I think it's something that I used to teach all my girls as well. Like, don't do resolutions because you'll never stick to them. Goal setting, that's slightly different. But no, I'm not going to do it because I didn't hit any of my goals this year. And so, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. And, just going back to like how 2022 was in terms of expectations. And, it sounds like it was bad. It really wasn't. Like, through this kind of turmoil and craziness of the year, I've had some really good parts as well. Like, I've learned who are my true friends, who I have the best connections with. I've learned that, maybe my business needed to evolve. And so I'm going more in towards the kind of the life and spiritual coaching. And, so I would say I've learned a lot about myself in this year. And they always say that, don't they? They say you've got to hit like some kind of rock bottom to really find yourself and find your purpose. And I feel like, I did hit rock bottom. Being in hospital was not fun. Having reflux is not fun. Figuring out it's actually a disease in your stomach, that's just not fun. And trying to go through this process of healing led me to other kinds of healing and led me to kind of go, actually, as a nurturer, I can heal others whilst healing myself. And so, I would say it wasn't all bad. So I want to like just put a smile on your ladies' faces and go, it wasn't all bad.
Do you know what I admire about you? That you actually have had a go at certain things, because like I saw this social media post that you put out about, didn't you have this bubbly truck or something like that?
Yeah, I had a Prosecco truck. I bought the Prosecco truck in 2021, just after I got out of hospital, thinking this was the thing that was going to change my life. And I'd get back out there, I'd start meeting people, doing events. What I didn't realize is it would take over my life, and I wouldn't have a weekend. I'd be working full time, and now I'd be like buying stock, cleaning the van, having to get MOTs done. There's so much more that goes into running a bar, and then a bar that actually has an engine. It's like another step further. And then I just realized, after about 8 months or so, I was like, this is not the right thing for me. And it's okay to fail because I'm not a failure. I've tried it. So yeah.
But this is what I love. It's like you actually did the thing. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how many people say, oh, I really want to do this, or wouldn't this be a great idea? And the amount of people that say to me things like, oh, we should start a business. And I'm like, don't talk to me about we should do this. Are we going to do it? Because I'm only going to think about what is actually going to happen, because I haven't got the time to think about imaginary things. And I'm literally that person that if you say to me, oh, do you know what? We should start a business. It should be this, right? And maybe, you're not serious. I will come back with a business plan 2 days later. I'm that person. So I'm just like, I like the fact that it's like, you tried something. Not everything works. How are you going to know if you don't try to do something?
It wasn't easy. Like even raising the funds to get that. Like I had no money. I needed £25,000 to buy this truck. Somehow I got a Virgin startup loan, a business loan. Like I don't even know how it happened. It was like it all kind of happened, and it felt like it was the right path. But sometimes, that's just a part of your path. It's not the path, and it's just a little tangent you have to go on to realize what you actually want to do, or what actually floats your boat.
Yeah. And when you're like 85 years old, you want to be able to say, oh, I tried this didn't work so well, or I tried that, this did. And that's how you're going to know. So I do believe in like throwing yourself into stuff. And okay, so what are 2 things that you personally want to leave behind in 2022? And I'm going to talk things like trends and random social things as well, but for like personal things that you want to just leave behind, walk away from in 2022.
I think for me, I really want to just leave behind the craziness of anxiety being in my life. I want it to just exit my household. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want my husband to be anxious. I don't want to have an anxious child, because anxious parents bring up an anxious child, unfortunately. So I don't want to have an anxious child either. I just want there to be a let up of that. And I think that comes down to doing the work and kind of recognizing I kind of know, I think now more what my triggers are and how I can feel it. I know where it comes from. So if I start feeling the pain, the tightness in my chest, something's up. I don't have tightness in my chest, but I have I'm grinding my teeth at night, and it's like it really hurts in the morning when I wake up. My jaw really hurts. So I know that I'm anxious about some stuff, and I'm trying to figure out what it is and how I can fix it. And there'll always be stuff to worry about. That's just life, isn't it? But like, I just not letting it get to me as much as I think it does. So I think I want to leave that behind. That's a big thing that I really want to try and figure out if I could do. And again, that's not setting a kind of resolution of I'm going to get better next year. It's just, how do I stop my teeth from grinding and my jaw from hurting?
Working on it.
Like that's just small incremental steps of kind of getting there eventually. I think that's the main thing for me.
Ush, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, my 2 would be, first of all, stop overthinking. So I don't know if you know a lot about Ayurveda or anything, but there are like 3 doshas, right? So right now I'm in this like vata phase, which is just literally overthinking, deer in headlights, want to do everything, not starting anything, kind of scared because of how I've been burnt. And I just want to kind of go into 2023 going, you know what, I am good at putting things together, so let's just do it and stop being scared that maybe Push with Ush has been forgotten, or maybe I'm not the fitness coach or the coach people want to go to, and that's just an internal fear, right? So it's just this little TikTok in my head that just constant overthinking, like, is it time, should I do it, like I'm 2 stone heavier, maybe people aren't going to trust me because I put on the weight. And so that would be the first one. And the second one is like leaving behind 2 stone of self-deprecation. Like, I'm so horrible to myself at times, like having put on that weight over 2 years when I was at my leanest at May 21, and now I'm like literally cannot believe I'm 12 kilos heavier. Like, I'm horrible to myself. Like, my clothes don't fit. So I look in the mirror and I look at my stomach and I look at everything. I'm going, I don't want to say the words out loud because it's affirmations, isn't it? But at the end of the day, like, I say things to myself, which I would say to my clients, and Joyti would know this, that I would tell you to stop. And there is no need, because actually you're beautiful, your body moves, and you will get healthy again. You are on the path, that you started training, you started eating better, and it wasn't your fault. Like, you got, I got to a place in my life where I thought I was going to die at one point. Like, I kid you not, when your temperature is at 40.1 and you're lying on the A&E floor and there's no way of getting cool air into your body because the breath you're taking is hot, you're just literally like leaking hot. You feel like you're burning, you feel like you're in hell, you feel like you're burning up. And when I came out of that, after feeling like I was dying, and I did literally pass out on the doctor when I got into A&E, when they finally saw me, and I was on a drip straight away, and I was in there for 3 days. But and I started my period in hospital in that period as well. It was awful, and I thought I was dying. And I came out and I went, you know what? Just enjoy life. Go out, enjoy food, enjoy your friends, and that led to me food blogging. So there's another thing that I did for a bit. I did a food blog, and that ended up me starting eating everything I was blogging about, putting on the weight, because I was just like, life's too short. Like, who cares? Who cares what I look like now? I spent all this time. I found fitness at 30 and now 42. I spent all this time like trying to be a size 10, trying, really hard. And when I got there, my body didn't like it. My body just went, this isn't you, you know? So yeah, so I'm gonna stop being so hard on myself.
And you look amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
and
thank
anybody that
you.
looked at you would actually think that. So that's why it's so weird that, you know, like when people say things like this and everyone's looking at you thinking, what? Like,
It's that lens that you have though, isn't it? That kind of like awful lens that you put on yourself of where you look like terrible, and but the whole world can see that you don't, but you just don't want to listen to them, because when you look in the mirror, you see what you see, which is, you know,
Yeah,
whatever it might be, like kind of
yeah.
I'm
someone that you don't
I'm
want to be.
actually gonna come back to this in a minute because that's one of the other things that I would say leave behind in 2022. But my personal, like the personal things is number one, like being a martyr. Like, you know, this whole dissy mom thing of like, oh no, 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 I'll do everything. Oh my God, now look at me. I'm just so burnt out and no one's helping me because like you've done all the stuff, right? Which is
Yeah.
stupid. And it's like, I don't really want to be doing that. And it's like, you know, this whole, oh, but then you get mum guilt for having a break. Oh no, I've had a break. Oh my God, I'm such a bad mum because I need to be at home like scrubbing floors or whatever. So I don't want to do that. You know, I want to take the time for myself and not be like moaning that I have to do everything and just be like, well, I'm actually going to do other stuff and it's all fine, right? So I feel like I want to do that. And also like taking on too much because I feel like I take on a lot of stuff and then like the things that I probably need to simplify what I do and then be the best at those things. So I've kind of been thinking about that recently because I think I did like I've had like progress and things that I wanted to do this year. 2021 was like I was a bit like lost. But I have, but then it also is kind of that thing of like say yes to everything, take it all on, you can manage it, you be super organized. I'm like, oh, all these things are going on my diary. And remember, I've got 3 children, so I've got their lives to kind of figure out as well. So yeah, that's my thing, like not taking on too much. So it's something that I'm just working on. So what about stuff that you know, just trends, anything else that you see in this world that you're like, I want to put aside, this needs to stay in 2022 because one of the things that I think is this whole unrealistic body standards. And I feel like, you know, has been that thing of like, oh, you know, let's celebrate curves, but then it's got to be certain curves, which are like, you know, oh, you go in at the waist and then you like flare out
And
the
also
hip.
flat stomach curve. I'm like, what?
I know.
How does that work? Like, how do you have curves and also
And
have
a
a
flat
completely
stomach.
flat stomach? I
The
don't get it.
percentage of people that have that body shape is very, very limited. Like even the Kardashians don't even naturally have that body shape, I don't think. So it's so, you know, it's been celebrated. Like, oh yeah, we're celebrating curves. It's like no, people don't actually look like that. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to lose weight off my stomach. And then, you know, and even the whole working out thing, like obviously you all know this, Ush. It's like we have this thing, oh, when I work out, I'm going to look like J-Lo. That's how my body's going to look. You're actually not. Because I work out a lot and I don't look like her.
No, but I don't understand why we need to celebrate or, you know, really or diss a body shape at all. Like, why do we need to even look at somebody's body and be like, oh, you're really hot, you've got curves, you're hourglass, oh, you're really fat,
Exactly.
and, you know, you've got an ass like a bus. Why do we do that? Why do we need to even feel like it's up to us to decide if someone should be happy with themselves or not just because of the way they look? It's not. Yeah, you're right completely. I just say why should we even look at someone like that? Like
And
I've heard there's a new trend. The skinny's back, right? The 1980s or 1980s
it's like,
or 70s.
who is making this shit
Twiggy's
up?
back or something. I've heard.
So what are we going to do? We'll starve ourselves to look like that.
Looks like it. Yeah,
Or feel bad
liposuction,
that we're not
darling.
in fashion. It's honestly, it's literally ridiculous. And I think, you know, I realize that when like people have said to me things like, oh, you know, you should, if you do this, you'll get really toned legs. Like do this. And there are people that don't work out themselves. And I'm like, I literally work out all the time. And these are my legs. I'm really sorry, but this is how they're going to be. This is me actually trying really hard. And this is what it is. So what am I going to do? Feel bad about it? Look, you know what I mean?
At the end of
It's
the day, you are who you are, and you are what you are. And like, I learned this last year because my best friend passed away. And like, she had just got to a point where she was in a good place in her life and everything, and then so all of a sudden, out of the blue, she was gone. And like, and if you don't just appreciate what you have right now, and don't just like enjoy your life and be in the present moment, you're just forever going to be missing out on the joy of life. And it's taken me a long time to figure that out. And unfortunately, like, you know, in some of the worst ways, to have to kind of get that kind of that lesson learned. But I do now try and not make those comments about my body. And my husband's noticed it as well. He's like, you don't sit there kind of slagging yourself off anymore like you used to, because he used to hate it. He was like, it's the most unattractive thing.
And hate it.
Yeah, he's like, it's so unattractive that you're sitting there telling me, pointing out all the things that you think your flaws are. Because why? Like, I married you, like, I find you attractive. Why would you say that to me? Because it makes no sense. And I was like, oh yeah, but you know, I feel like this and I feel like that. And you know, things that were said to me as a child just stay with you, don't they? Like, I was a chubby child. People felt that, as Asians always do, you know, Auntie G's always like, oh, you should do this or you should do that, and oh, haven't you put on some weight or whatever, you know. And it's just stayed with me. Yeah, all that. And then you just start saying it to yourself because you hear it from people from such a young age. And so now I try and make sure that I don't say those kinds of things to my son or in front of my son as well, because I don't want him to have a complex about his body. And he doesn't, I mean, he's only 4, like, or coming up to 4, so he doesn't have like he's just not bothered about any of that stuff. But it does start young, and so you have to be really careful with the words that you use around them. But just enjoy your body, like, just, it is what it is. Flaunt it, do what you want with it, you know, enjoy it. It works, and it's probably looking really good, so, you know, just love it.
I wore a bikini for the first time in this country in public, because, you know, like abroad it's like, oh, who cares, no one knows me anyway. It's a bit like that. But then on Bournemouth Beach, right, I was going to turn up in t-shirt and jeans, and my cousin was like, are you mad? Like, I'm wearing bikini, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And then everybody was literally half naked anyway, and nobody cared. And I actually felt quite good about myself. And it was one of those things, it's like, why don't people just, not that, oh, the aim of life is to wear a bikini, woohoo, but as in, it's really not. But it's like, who actually cares? Like, if you want to do it, what are you waiting for? Like, just wear the things.
Yeah,
right?
I did that last summer as well. Last summer, 2021, when I was the hottest, wore a bikini on the beach, and it felt incredible.
But would
you do it now?
Now, so you could do it now.
Well, no, because I don't feel comfortable. There's a difference between someone like looking a certain way and feeling comfortable, right? So I don't feel comfortable. But what I am trying to do and trying to teach people that I'm like now working with is that you can't go backwards. So I can't go back to 2021 or what it was like at 36. What I can do is use what I have now and work with what I have now to move forward and to be the best version of what I can be today. That's all we can do.
This whole thing of feeling comfortable, though, is like with body standards and how we feel as well. I find that, like, if I'm working out, I could be probably heavier or even looked exactly the same as how I would not working out. And because I've done the work and I'm feeling like in a good place, I'll be really like quite happy with myself, you know, to wear certain things or whatever, because I've been doing the work and I feel good, right? Whereas I think I had COVID in 2021, and then after that I was like the lightest ever, well, not ever, but for a long time that I'd been, and I felt disgusting. I literally felt disgusting because obviously I'd done nothing, I'd just been lying around, not well, you know. So, and I've been heavier and felt great.
Yeah. And when you're lying around like that, your body starts aching as well. So you just don't feel good. But when you're moving, you've got endorphins going around. There's lots more oxygen going around your body. You know, everything's kind of buzzing. You know, when you do a workout, like whatever size you are, you know, when you do a workout, you just feel good.
You do, yeah. So I asked my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter as well. I was kind of prepping for this, and I was like, oh, is there anything that you think should be left behind in 2022, like trends and stuff? And she was like, the obsession with blonde hair. That's what she said to me. She went, the obsession with blonde hair, it needs to stay in 2022. But there is this one, and it's obviously like, you know, a lot of Asian girls dyeing their hair blonde as well, and it's so blonde. And trust me, I've had balayage, and I literally looked like a frazzled clown. So it is so bad for your hair.
So bad for your hair. Yeah. I've had balayage as well, and I actually went blonde. And funny enough, I was looking at the pictures maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I contacted my color artist who did that. And then I remembered it lasted like 3 weeks, and then it went into this like ginger mop. And like, look how healthy this looks right now. Like, why am I gonna like ruin the health to go back?
I'm still trying to grow mine out at the moment, because I had it red. It was like red everywhere. everywhere. And now just the ends are red. Like, they're not even red. It just kind of, it goes to that gingery
But
colour.
it always goes ginger. It
Yeah.
always goes
I'm
ginger.
just
So
trying to
now I'm
slowly
just
grow it
like,
out.
blonde hair it can do one, in my opinion, the obsession with you, unless you're naturally blonde, and then fine. So chip in whatever. By the way, girls, if there's something that you think needs to stay
I've
in
got
20,
one.
go
I
on.
was in the office today, and can I just say, please, for the love of God, can the people who are sick just stay at home? Can we leave behind this need for sick people to go into the office, or just leave their
Show that the
houses?
soldiers and
Just if you're not well and you don't have like an essential job, you just work in an office, just stay at home. Nobody wants to sit next to you while you're coughing or like breathing out your germs. Like, I don't want any of that in my vicinity.
But
And
do you
I
know
really
why
felt like
people do that? So,
martyrs.
yeah, well, yeah, but also, do you know back when we used to all have to be in the office 9 to 5?
Yeah.
You'd go in when you were sick, so your boss could actually see that you were sick, and that boss would then send you home. If you then like go on Slack, oh, I'm sick, I'm not working today, like people are going to be like, are you though? Because you're at home. So like, I think people have this backwards mentality of like they can't leave behind office culture, and they feel like they need like to go in and prove that they're sick to be sent
But you know
home.
what? Just work from home. Like, if you have the
Yeah.
option to work from home, you just do an office job. I do an office job. I don't do an essential job. I'm not saving anyone's life. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I work with numbers. It's not essential. It is what it is. If I'm not very well, I say to my boss, I'm going to work from home because I don't want to come into the office because I don't feel very well. I went in one time because I felt like I had to, and I wore a mask because I wasn't very well. I was coughing, I was sneezing. I was like, I'm not going to. And everyone looked at me like I was a mentalist. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm trying not to infect the whole office. But people seem to have forgotten the pandemic. They seem to have forgotten what COVID did so quickly. It's mad. Like the need for people to kind of find normality again, even if normal was actually rubbish, if that way of life was terrible and not good for us, and we should never have done. And believe me, I've been like this since before COVID. Like, I was one of these people that had anti-bac gel with me everywhere I went because I lived in London, and people in London are disgusting on the tube, and the tube is like sticky and disgusting. It's horrible.
It's like going in a
So,
nightclub.
yeah, so I've always been one of these people. I'm just like, don't touch me, don't breathe on me, don't come near me, don't, please, I'm going to anti-bac myself, I'm going to sterilize myself if you come near me. And so this need for people to be in the office. Someone got told to go home today in front of me at work, and they were like, no, I can't.
There you go.
Why can't you? Because they're martyring themselves. They have to feel so
Exactly.
important that they need to be in the office.
Exactly.
So
I will
please,
sacrifice myself for my job. I will.
just leave it in 2022. In 2023, realize that other people exist, and also that you deserve, and you need the time to rest and heal yourself when you're not very well. Like, people just don't understand that they need that. Your body isn't supposed to feel like that, and it's not supposed to function when it's feeling like that. It's supposed to be resting when it's feeling like that. And we've been so brainwashed into this kind of hamster in a wheel type way of life, and we just need to break it. We need to stop it.
Yeah.
That's my rant over. Sorry.
I think we're definitely coming into the new paradigm though. Like, people are leaving that whole 9 to 5 culture behind and working on other parts of their life and making that work for them. But there'll always be somebody who will go into the office ill. Unfortunately, you're going to have to keep anti-backing.
Just wear a mask. If you're going to go in and you feel like you have to show the world that you're not very well, just wear a mask. Think about other people. This is all it is consideration. In COVID, people died because other people couldn't be bothered to wear masks, and so now it's just like, just remember that it did happen. I know you didn't want it to happen. You don't want to have to remember a traumatic event, but at least learn a lesson from it and keep that lesson and take it forward with you in life instead of repeating mistakes constantly.
Even this whole, I'm so booked and busy kind of thing. Like, obviously in COVID, people are like, oh, isn't it nice to like look at the flowers and, wander around in the trees because it's COVID and we need to appreciate these things, and just going for walks. And then now it's like booked and busy. Oh my God, what are you doing? Come to this event, come to this event. And it's like, do you know what? Just shut up, because I actually just want to stay at home.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to say. We need to leave FOMO behind as well. So the fear of missing out, let's leave that in 2022, because actually there's a joy in missing out. There's a joy in just smelling the roses when you're going on a walk, and not having to feel like every Friday, Saturday, Sunday you have to be booked up. And this is something that I guess I don't know about you guys, but I deal with quite a lot. I think loved, and I'm going to say this, I loved the first lockdown. I loved just being out. I was walking 2-3 hours a day, phone calling people, you know, just like walking around and getting a like coffee if I could and stuff like that. And it was incredible. And then all of a sudden life comes back and you're like, right, there's a new restaurant in town. Oh, Inca's opened. Oh my God, Circus is back open. Tattoos in London from Manchester now. Like, I want to go to these places. And then literally started booking myself out. And that tide is one of the things that has tied me out as well. So I want to leave that fear of missing out.
Honestly, that social thing, like even some people say to me like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I've got this and that and this and that. I'll have to do this. It's like, you're just meeting people for dinners and drinks, like, and you're literally getting tired out from this. Like, why? It's nobody's birthday. And it's like, you know, like, you're like, come to this, come to this. It's like, you know what? It's not your birthday. It's not my birthday. And you want me to come and spend £200 for a random night out, which I don't want to go to in this place, which I don't care to be in. I'm not doing it. Thanks.
It's so expensive
these
now.
days. Yeah, exactly. Who has the £200 these days with all the inflation and electricity and everything?
I know, but I do feel like it went from that, like, you know, let's just have a nice walk together, to then back to this. It's just like, you know, and people feel like, oh, we missed out on so much, so we need to do all this stuff. Whereas I'm like, I'm just going to kind of keep that other mindset of the simple things and chilling a little bit.
And also, none of this stuff is going to disappear. Like, you could go to these restaurants next year or the year after. Like, there's always going to be something new. You're never gonna have everything under your belt. So why like get anxiety about it? Like, you know, why get anxiety about not going out is what.
Yeah, of course. Another thing that I've got is multitasking. So I feel I'm so like tired of it. I'm so tired of multitasking. It's like, why do we feel like it was such a great thing to be like, I'm such a great multitasker. I'm doing like 50 things at once and not really concentrating on everything and burning myself out. I don't really want to do that. And apparently it's actually quite bad for your cognitive ability to multitask. You know, and you're not really like concentrating on one thing, and you know, you end up being quite a distracted person. So I just feel a bit like that can just do one, as far as I'm concerned.
I feel it's like one of the biggest patriarchal lies that we were ever fed, that women are great at multitasking and men can't focus on anything but one thing at a time, just so that we would have to do 3 times the workload because we're really good at it and men just can't do it. Oh no, look how rubbish they are. It's such a lie, and it's such a lie perpetuated by men. And so don't feel guilty about just saying no and just focusing on one thing at a time is what I would say. That's what I've started to do as well. I've got one job, I would do that job. Once that job's done, I'll do the next job if I have time or energy and, you know, I can be bothered to make the effort. If something doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. I have a massive pile of laundry to do. It is what it is. Like, but we've got plenty of clothes. What are we going to do? Like, if I don't do the washing for a couple of days, it is what it is, you know, like, we'll manage.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to die from
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. I actually watched this this little video on Instagram of Diljit Dosanjh in some random interview, and he was saying that someone was like, oh, what do you do in your spare time when you're not shooting and singing and stuff? And he was like, I don't do anything. I don't. He was like, oh, I just sit there and have a great time. Like, try doing nothing, you'll have such a brilliant time. And he was like, you know, the whole world is running around going mad. He was like, you know, if I'm sitting down, I'm sitting down. That's all I'm doing. And it was like, yes, good for you. Because obviously,
That's the best way to live.
Yeah, he's a busy person. The world is mad. Have the moments of, I honestly believe, just sitting and as in just, you know, chilling and like the quiet is really important. Because you can do it to yourself. Like we said, I'm so booked and busy. I'm going to do all this stuff for people. And then you just like miss out on that. And that's not normal.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
I've got one more, if that's all right. Endless scrolling on Instagram and TikTok. Like, why do we need to watch everybody's videos, right? Why do we need to sit there looking at all this content? Like, I can easily lose 2 hours in this vortex of like, oh, I don't even know, like puppy videos and babies dancing and, you know, like proposal videos, and it's like travel. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, just sitting there and getting lost down this Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole. So let's just leave scrolling behind and let's sit there without our phones, like you just said, and do nothing, right?
Yes.
Read a book.
Let's be that. Yeah, read a book, read an actual book. No, I agree. Yeah, you can get very easily sucked into the vortex. I actually went down this, well, it's quite an enjoyable rabbit hole of very niche, very niche videos, which brought me joy. And do you know what they were? Grandparents with pets. It's a niche I found that I particularly love. No, it's so cute and heartwarming. And immersive.
Oh my god.
Grandparents with a pet, like, someone just new puppy to their Punjabi granddad, and he's got it on his chest and talking, and it's just like, these are so,
Oh.
these are so nice. So that is a particular niche that I discovered it's like this.
Yeah, and the puppies get so excited when they see their grandparents. They get dropped off for the weekend. It's like they're real children. I know what you mean.
Yes, I agree. That is a complete waste of time. Yes, it is. And the FOMO thing comes into that as well. Like, we're not missing out on anything. Like, the content's still going to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
I have another one as well. Well, two actually. One is grey interiors. I feel like people, can we be done with people thinking that they're like really stylish? If your house is not grey, you've got no style. It's like, but I'm not in a hospital. Like, I just don't. So I'm just like, no, we can inject some more in it. Not everybody has to have the same grey interior. I'm really sorry if anyone's got a grey interior.
No, mine's all magnolia. I need to paint mine. I do have a grey sofa though, and like a grey bed, a fabric ultimate bed. I'm just like, oh crap.
You can put some cushions on it.
Yeah, it's got pink cushions on it.
Does grey carpet count? I've got grey carpet.
I'm really sorry if you genuinely like grey and your whole house is grey. Sorry, that's just a personal thing. And the last one that I've got is scarcity mindset. So talking to my husband about something, and he was like, "Oh, stop having such a scarcity mindset." So I was like, "What is that?" He was like, "You need to have more of an abundance mindset." Yeah. And I think so. Can you explain what it is? Because
it's like that lack mindset, isn't it? Like you can't get what you need, and this is how I understand it. It's like you feel like you don't have enough of anything. That, say, your bank account isn't full enough, or your fridge isn't full enough, or don't have enough friends, or it's that whole. I guess it is not an abundance mindset. It's not like, I have everything I need to live a successful, happy life. It's I don't have enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough friends. I don't have enough, I don't know, clothes. I don't have enough nights out. It's that whole, and the more you go into the scarcity mindset, the more scarce everything becomes. Because the universe, you will attract that, right? The universe will kind of go, right, well, okay, this is the mindset you've got, so that's what we'll provide for you, right? So it's like going, if you say for example, you had debt, I've got £10,000 of debt, and you keep going, I've got debt, I can't pay it off, darling, you're never going to pay it off. Where if you go, right, I've got this money thing going on over here, let me figure out how to be more abundant, how to attract abundance, and ideas will come out of your head, whether it's starting a new business or working at Costa Coffee for the weekends and putting that into your debt. These little ideas will start coming up, and you'll be like provided with opportunities if you live in a more abundant mindset. Sorry, I went off on one then.
No, that is exactly what it is, because not everybody would know if I said scarcity mindset. That is what it is. And sometimes the things are actually scarce, right? Like literally scarce. But it's that thing, even the whole, it's like if somebody's looking for love, like, oh, there are no good men left, that kind of thing.
Oh, here we go.
But instead, so if you were thinking that, if you were thinking that, Ush, it's, I bet that there are a lot of good men out there that I have yet to meet. So do you know what I mean? Like, I guess it's just that kind of a mindset.
100%. Like, there was a time when I was like, there are no good men, and my ex, a good man, turned up in my life and showed me that I could be loved, and there are good men out there, and we're not together. We don't know what's happening in the future. We're not together right now, but he showed me that there are good men out there, and there are men that would be willing to wait, is the other thing as well. So which is the most amazing thing I've ever had in my life, is that someone hasn't pressured me to do anything, whatever that thing may be, whether it is sex or whether it is something else. It's like, no, someone is willing to kind of go at my pace and go, actually, you are the most important person for me and for you. So yeah, there are good men out there, but you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready to meet them. If you're not ready in yourself, and you're not going to meet them.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
that's what
who
we should
knows?
put in there as well. Maybe we should put dating apps in, leave them in
Ugh.
2022, and going forward, people should just meet people again in real
Oh,
life.
wouldn't that be really nice?
Well,
Be like, and
what
do
do
it
you
like in a
think,
natural way.
a lot of it, me and Joyti can say whatever we want, obviously, because
Yeah.
you know we're not going to be on the apps, not even for
No.
research purposes. But what do you think though about that? Dating apps or no? Or are
I
they?
would say I don't enjoy dating apps, and it's that whole vortex again, right? So you could be like, "Oh, I'm bored, let me swipe." that is what happens. Oh, I'm bored, let me go on Instagram. Oh, I'm bored, let me swipe and see who's out there. So it's not a very good way of meeting people. Although I did meet James on an app before, but I don't know, like I've heard so many success stories that makes you think actually it is worthwhile kind of, looking for that needle in a haystack. But for me right now, I'd rather go out there and kind of feel my best self and be in a bar or a restaurant or somewhere and meet somebody. But what I've found is people now go out in groups, whether it's males, females, mix, and they don't interact. There's none of this interaction. There's always little pockets of people all around. Like I went to this cool bar in Mayfair the other day, and I just felt out of place, completely out of place. I wasn't cool enough, I wasn't scantily clad. Should have been. I should have just gone in my bikini from last year, I think, but I would have got the attention. And that's the thing, like when people are out and about nowadays, they're just looking for, a hot dog on a stick. They're looking for the hottest thing out there. And, and that's what they're looking for. And if you're not that, they're not going to see any kind of, whether you're exuberant or enigmatic, they're not going to see that, because what they look at is this. And that's the problem with dating apps as well, right? People just look, it's an image you're looking at and you swipe left or right. I do like the fact that a lot of dating apps now have voice or video on there as well. So they'll put a little voice note or put a little video of yourself, which actually shows someone's personality. So if someone's made that much of an effort to go and put a voice note or a video of themselves, then it's worth contacting them, I feel.
My friend sent me a like a little kind of screen grab thing of a voice note that she had come across on a dating app yesterday, actually, and I was like, why would someone say this? I can't even remember what he said, but he said something just ridiculous, and I was like, why would you do that? It was like, hey baby, what's up, or something. I was like, why would you waste your time putting that on a voice note and uploading it onto your profile? The caliber is low a lot of the time.
You know what I'm waiting
but then that's
for?
just life, isn't it? Like I went through I met men in real life in those days when I was single, and a lot of them were rubbish. Like not meant for me. Not meant for me is the way I'll put it. Not maybe not rubbish, but like just not made for me and who I am. So I think that's just life. You just it's a more concentrated view of it, I guess, on an app.
Very.
Yeah.
But
it's
wasn't
weird
it
that people don't interact in like person anymore? Like in bars, no one will flirt with somebody or try it on with anyone anymore.
But then wasn't it always like people wanted a hot dog on a stick, like when they went out? Like, no, but wasn't it always like that?
Probably, but maybe when I was 26 I was a hot dog. I don't know. I
definitely wasn't.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like, but when I was 26, I was running dating events. So for me, it was like so I used to get my pick of, back in the day, running speed dating and padlock parties and stuff like that. So I had a great time when I was younger, but now I don't have that kind of confidence. Like I used to approach a guy if I liked a guy. I don't have that anymore. And I think that comes with age.
I never did.
No, you'd strike me as someone who would, if I'm honest with you. No. Yeah, no, you totally.
I've literally been.
I can imagine you going up to a guy and saying, "Hey, boy."
No. Oh my God. I would never do that. I've been with the same guy for 20 years, right? For a start.
Fair enough.
And even before that, I would never have said to anyone. Like maybe like if I was the person that I am now, then I may have done that. But I don't think I was then. And it's
Whereas I could command attention back then. I can't do it anymore. I don't know what happened. So I will though. I will.
Yeah, because I would say that to you. You look like you could command attention.
Oh God, I think you know what that is. It's I call it front staging and backstaging. Right, my backstage, my confidence is not great. Front stage, I can adapt would be the word. I can be a chameleon. I can be that flirty, and I have got a flirty personality. I'm a Scorpio. That's just through and through. But like, I think, you know, it takes a lot of courage to do that these days, because, you know, I think you've been hit by so much stuff growing up, like whether it's when you were younger or at college, or like, you know, through the guys that you've met, and it's just got to a point where I'm not as confident as I was back in my 20s with guys, for sure, or even like early 30s, if I'm honest with you.
That's so interesting, because I see sometimes that is the opposite case. So like people who weren't so confident in their younger days are like, as they get older, and especially as they approach their 40s, then just stop caring, and they're just like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want, I'm going to say whatever I want, I'm going to be whoever I want, and they find this kind of confidence within themselves. So it's interesting to hear that it's kind of, you feel like it's kind of gone the other way. But is that your scarcity mindset? Are you just
I don't think it's
not
scarcity
finding it?
mindset. I don't think it's that. I think it's that I've been told for a long time, especially like over the last 10, 15 years, it's like, we need less Ush. You've got to be less Ush. You're too much. You scare people. And this is a whole other podcast, Rina, so we could do this, you know.
It is, isn't
But
it?
I've been told a lot to be less of me. And in fact, and I'm going to put it out there, but my managing director said it to me. We love you, Ush. We love your personality, but when you're in a meeting, we need less Ush. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, but that's
I
horrible.
don't know how to. No,
Wow.
exactly, and it really, really hurt. Like, I don't know how to be less me, but what you're doing is you're literally. It's like you're battering me. Like every person who says that, like, you're battering me. You're too much. You're too loud. You're too fun. Don't laugh so loud. Don't, you know? And even my dad would say stuff like
That's
that.
not
You laugh too much.
constructive.
It's not. It's an Indian thing as well, though. I don't know if you guys ever felt this I had this growing up, but it was like, don't laugh. You know.
You've got to be what
Can't be having fun.
that's presentable, sensible, and you know.
Yeah.
You look loose if you start laughing, you know. Anyway, another
My
podcast.
mum always used to say, if you, as much as you laugh, you'll cry twice as much, and so you shouldn't laugh too much. And I was like, Mum, that is such a depressing view on life, isn't it? Like, don't ever have joy in your life, because you might cry one day.
That's just saying, you know, if you get to that place at the top, then someone's just going to knock you back down, and it's going to be awful when you come back down.
Never tone yourself down for anyone. 100%.
Yeah, no, 100%. I know that.
Well, you're right. That is a podcast for another day. TBC on that. So yeah, but thank you so much, ladies. It's been really nice talking to you, and here's wishing you a wonderful 2023, and you know, being open to whatever that may bring.
Exactly, the door's open, and this has been an amazing conversation. I could chat to you guys for hours.
Yeah,
I know.
Thank you very much for having us.
No, it's been lovely. So yeah, well, let's do this again next year and see where we are. And I'm sure we've got other things to talk about as well. And thank you for listening as well. And you know, let us know what you think when you listen to the podcast. Drop a comment. Has 2022 gone the way that you wanted it to? Are you still reeling from the way that things maybe haven't turned out? Yeah, leave us a comment. Make sure you share this podcast. If you're not already following Sisterhood or MummyImperfect, you can on Instagram at Sisterhood or MummyImperfect. On Instagram, and there's a MummyImperfect Facebook page as well. Leave a nice review, because that'd be really, really nice. Until next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.